r/AskReddit. What's the scariest space fact/mystery in your opinion? A few people have said this, but just the size of space is creepy to me. That far away. But what almost depresses me more, that unlike in Stargate, I will never be able to travel to any of it. Would love to see what's out there. Not scary exactly, more unfortunate, if anything, but we'll probably never be able to properly communicate with alien species. Given the amount of distance between the planets of our solar system, I'd assume the distance to other universes and galaxies is too far to think about right now. If we receive and send a message right now, by the time we hear a reply back, we would probably be a completely different government and societal system. We would just be constantly introducing ourselves. Here's one closer to home. The Kessler effect is the theory that a single destructive event in low Earth orbit could create a cascade where satellites break up into tiny fragments, taking out other satellites, breaking up into smaller fragments, and so on, until the Earth is completely surrounded by a massive cloud of tiny flying death shrapnel, which would make leaving this planet almost impossible. If you look up how much space debris there is already up there and how many satellites currently orbit, plus the continued growth of the commercial space industry, I think about it a lot. Vacuum decay is one of the scariest concepts to me. We don't know if it exists, and we won't know until it's too late. Gamma ray bursts. We could be hit by one of these with very little warning, and if it was reasonably close, in universal terms anyway, could wipe us out rapidly or cause a ton of damage. Dark matter/dark energy. The fact that about 95% of the universe is made up of matter we can't see or detect is pretty unsettling to think about. Also, while not a fact per se, I like to think that perhaps the answer to the Fermi paradox is that there are billions of advanced alien life forms out there, but they are physically unable to reach us due to technological limitations. Perhaps interstellar transport is only theoretical, and any aliens capable of reaching us are unable to do so in an acceptable length of time. Proxima Centauri may take 25 years for unmanned spacecraft to reach us, going 20% the speed of light, but perhaps it's impossible to transport actual life at these speeds without dying, so advanced civilizations have realized the futility of trying to contact other species and have simply given up. Since the universe is expanding and stars and galaxies are moving away from each other, it's possible that civilizations that spring up in the far future with lonely stars will see an empty sky. Their civilizations will grow and learn, but they will never know the universe that once was. We live in a spectacular time period where we can actually look back in time and see the early universe. Future civilizations won't have that luxury. They'll believe that the universe is, and always was, dark, dead, and empty, aside from their small island of light. The Great Attractor is kinda ominous. There's an exoplanet with wind that's many times the speed of sound and that rains glass. Another exoplanet that has spent time inside its star. There's a sort of fear that we aren't alone in the universe. Chances are anything we meet won't have remotely similar emotional spectrums that we have. Then there's the horrifying notion that we are alone in that infinite blackness. That we're just a fluke of chemistry that will probably never happen again. Edit: more people have died on Earth than have died on the Sun. Spook. Strange matter. It might not exist at all, but some scientists believe it's what's inside neutron stars. If this is true, neutron stars can collide and send strange matter particles flying through space. It's also theorized that strange matter might turn everything it touches into strange matter. If that's true, any microscopic amount of strange matter that touches our atmosphere would quickly turn Earth and everything on it into strange matter, destroying all life and nearly every remnant of civilization, and there wouldn't be a damn thing we could do about it. Again, this is all theoretical. Strange matter might not have such a massive effect, and indeed it might not exist at all. But there is a non-zero chance that an undetectable, microscopic particle is flying toward Earth ready to eradicate everyone and everything. The Boltzmann brain. The most likely ending to our universe will be all stars and black holes exploding, and eventually the universe becomes a completely even soup of neutrons for all eternity. In this theory, the Big Bang was actually a cosmic coincidence, in which enough of those neutrons, literally every neutron that currently exists, collided in the even soup of a past universe. This collision caused the Big Bang to occur, thrusting into motion the energies that run our current universe. Such an occurrence in the soup of infinite neutrons is incredibly unlikely. What instead is far more likely is that just enough neutrons came together in the exact right way as to create a literal floating brain in the infinite soup that has all of your memories and experiences up to the current moment. Statistically speaking, it is unfathomably more likely that nothing you've ever perceived exists, and, instead, you are merely a floating brain in an endless expanse of nothing, doomed to return to the soup from whence you came, none the wiser. The mere concept of a black hole spooks me out. An infinitely small object with a gravitational presence larger than some stars, that alters space and time and simply erases anything that gets too close. The gravitational lensing of the light from stars behind seems supernatural when you see it. But even worse, we owe our galaxy to them, since there is a supermassive black hole, scary name, at the center of ours. There's an idea, I wouldn't call it a theory because there's no way to test it and it wouldn't really matter anyway, that goes like this. If it's possible to create a full functional simulation of a universe inside a real universe, eventually somebody will do it. If it's possible for somebody in that simulated universe to create a fully functional simulation of a universe, eventually somebody will do it, and so on. If we accept this as true, it's much more likely that we're one of the many simulations, rather than being the single original universe. Now, in practical terms, we wouldn't have any way to distinguish a simulation from a real one, since the simulation is all we know, so it wouldn't matter. It would be totally real to us, so it doesn't really matter that much. But it is kinda weird to think about. The scariest is just the unknowns. Right now we are under the impression that there is a solid object that is roughly 9% of the observable universe long, known as the Corona Borealis Great Wall. It's just an object out there that is 10 billion light-years in length. https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/hercules%sign e2%sign 80%sign 93 Corona_Borealis_Great_Wall. The Big Rip. It's not probable that our universe would end that way, most likely with heat death, but if it were to happen, it would be the scariest thing. Basically, the expansion of space is accelerating, and if the Big Rip were true, expansion would continually keep accelerating, and it would eventually reach the point when the expansion would overwhelm all fundamental forces of nature and rip apart the very constituents of our universe. This point is called the cosmic event horizon, CEH, and it exists in our universe. However, it is many billion of light-years in diameter, and this is the distance between two galaxies that are traveling away from one another faster than the speed of light. According to the Big Rip, CEH would continue shrinking down to the size of atoms and quarks. First it would shrink to the size of galaxies, meaning it would overcome gravitational pull of galaxies, so every galaxy would get ripped apart with stars shooting out in all directions, traveling away from each other faster than speed of light. It would then overcome the gravity holding our solar system together, then Earth's own gravity, after which our planet would start crumbling. Then in the final moments, when CEH shrinks to the size of atoms, all of the atoms in the universe would suddenly rip apart into electrons and nuclei. Those nuclei would then rip apart into quarks. And if quarks themselves have constituents, those would eventually rip too. If we looked into the sky, we would see the stars and galaxies slowly start drifting away from one another and disappearing one by one. It would be very creepy. The sky would increasingly grow darker and darker until it reaches us. We, and everything around us, would then violently dissolve into plasma, and then into nothingness. Gone, just like that. I like the idea of that we lived in Mars, and we destroyed it, so we send our two last Mars humans, Adon and Eva, to keep the human life existing. Well, thanks.